Hello.
What is going on? Welcome back to another episode of Motivation. We're back at it again with season 3. A few things have changed, so much so that all this stuff has been pre-recorded. So I'm gonna be giving you a few updates at the beginning of every episode to let you know what you have in store. So enough of all that. I'll get back to you at the end of the video with all the information. Let's get back to the episode. So I told you I wasn't done with this thing. We got a whole bunch of new stuff for this. We're gonna be wrapping a few things. We're going to be putting in some engine parts, some dress-up parts, and a few other things that I won't go over right now. All right, so I got a package. This is like super top secret stuff. But by the time this ever gets uploaded, if it ever gets uploaded, you get a free pen. That's cool. That's awesome. Gives you all the information. Ooh, buddy. Ooh, buddy. Something I don't like is he like hand punches in his name and it's like, it's not very nice. Remove that. My name's still on it, which is awesome. So it is mine for sure. Oh yeah. Hey, you see what that says? JE pistons, 84 millimeter. All the rings and everything are already on it. Ooh, it's so nice. Yeah, buddy. And this is the block off plate he sent. I got another one. Alright, so this one is pretty dope. I gotta thank Chaz for this one. This is a steering damper mount that goes on your triple tree on the top. This mounts to your frame. I got these H2C engine case protectors. So they go over the actual engine case. So here's this one. There's that one, and then there's this one. This one goes over the inspection side. I just found out today, it's arriving today, and it's wrong. So that's cool. HT Moto, what? So I've wanted this for years. It is a seat cover for my 2017 Grom. This is really nice. it's like a gripper material. So one second. So whereas the stock material is a grippy style of material, but it tears really easy. On my other one, I have a little tear right here. I ordered this with gray stitching. I only got black stitching, so they're sending me out another one. Oh, that's interesting. So the HT Moto logo is now a stitched logo. It used to be like a rubberized logo. It came out really good, and it's all double stitched. If you guys want a part number for this, it's SCH031. Damn. Look at that head. Oh. So, let's tear this thing apart. We're gonna get this fixed, which this is gonna get moved back. We're going to expand the gas tank. So we're gonna take all this apart right now and get the tank off. We're gonna be doing stuff with the brakes, front and rear. We got a new fender, because this one's obviously broken, and the wrap is peeling. So we're gonna replace this, which will be great. The wrap on this side looks really good except for this piece, so we'll probably rewrap this piece. These two pieces look good. We'll probably redo this one, and we're gonna redo this one. We got a bunch of stuff to do. We gotta redo the rear fender. It's peeling right there. I would say about 75% of the bike that is wrapped is gonna get rewrapped. We also got a new seat and seat cover because you'll see. Struggle to get off. And then this, I don't know if it's focusing or not. This is all messed up. We got a new one, we'll get that fixed. We also got a new keyless system for the bike. So that's going to be really awesome. So instead of showing you what we need to do to take all this apart, you saw this already. So we're just going to take it apart and I'll show you the good stuff. As you can see, the tank is gone and all the wires are still here, all messy. So before I get the tank put back on, I will clean all this stuff up and get it all nice and tidy. Next time you see the tank on, it will be larger. So the idea behind this is I'm going to expand from here all the way up to here to this edge. And then on this side, from here to here. Should get about a half a gallon. Any bit counts. If I can get 15 more miles out of this tank, I will be happy. And then we're gonna get our screen on this, and we're gonna clean up all this wire, all this other stuff. All of this will be nice and clean. But yeah, I have ridden this pretty close to 500, yeah, I would say about 500 miles. And it's a blast. I honestly, what I'm about to do, I don't need to do. But I already bought all the stuff and it should be a lot of fun. Worst case scenario, if I'm like, oh, this is too much, or why did I do this? I can always go backward. The stuff I'm gonna do is gonna give me a little bit more power. Who doesn't want more power? Should be interesting, see where all this goes. I have a headache from all the gas fumes, so I'm gonna take a break. Are you leaving it gray? can see, the bike doesn't lean this way anymore. And it doesn't have a gangster lean like it used to. So what we did is we put the kickstand down here. I got an adjustable G-Craft kickstand. And this broke. Gonna make a new one of those. Exhaust is just on there temporary because we're gonna obviously start tearing this bike apart. So we got a whole bunch of parts over here. We also got some new stuff right here, but I'll show you that later. We're gonna get this stuff apart and see what goes to powder cut and what stays. All right, we have the swing arm off, we have the motor obviously out, we have all the wiring jumbled in this mess right here, which is gonna get finally organized. The whole front end has to come off. New fender's gonna have to go on. The forks are gonna get rewrapped. Wheels, well, wheels are, well. We also added some parts. Obviously this is the engine mount. These are parts that I took off. This is a seat lock. I'm not sure it actually works on this. This is from the older model. I'm probably gonna have to order one for the new because I got a new seat and the little latch piece that goes inside is bad on mine. Since we're here right now, this is the new head. Ooh, plus 1mm over valves. Dual springs, titanium retainers. Ported and polished. We got our, and it says 250, but it is a 84mm piston. As you can see, my hands are giant. They fit through here. That will be fun. Got a Cometic gasket. Got a block off plate, which is the same as that one. So this one is for sale. We have all the brakes taken apart, all the miscellaneous parts in there, all the seals and pistons there. Here we got a oil cap, the steering damper bracket, a racer nut for steering stem nut, exhaust obviously. We're gonna get this fixed after the motor gets put back in. These are the new hubs for the wheels. Gas cap, air pump, fairing. New hub that goes with this. That's just my old sprocket. The gas cap. So we took the gas tank off to have it expanded and made bigger. We have some new PSD parts in gray. The new HT motor seat cover. So we are going to change the color scheme of the bike. That's gonna, I'll let you guys know down the road once we get to that position. The main color of the bike, as in the gray and the fairings, no more. Also the black brushed may go as well. I haven't decided on that. We got a new sub cage. This is just the black one. I have another anodized gray one. We have a small list of parts over here of things that we need to do. Just some stuff that needs to get done. Next, I'm gonna be pulling the headlight off and the wiring from the headlight out, and we're gonna just let it sit loose until I get the actual tank in, and then I'll get all the wiring buttoned up nice and neat, and then we're gonna go in on the motor. So the valve cover's gone because I am getting that piece powder coated. I have a couple boxes over here, and I'd show you, but I want you to see later once it's all done, because I did get wheels, some 13-inch Composimo, and the centers I'm having powder coated, so I don't want you guys to see it. I'll show you that once I get them back. Other than that, just organized the table a little bit. I don't like leaving the area too dirty. I mean, obviously this place is a mess, but the work area too dirty. So I'm going to pull the front end off, front wheel and headlight. I haven't decided if I'm gonna do that first or if I'm gonna do the engine first. So I had another Grom. These parts were supposed to go on it, but that Grom has been in turn parted out and gone to somebody else. I mean, I still have a couple pieces over here, but yeah, it's already owned by somebody else. I, as some of you may not know, started Perfect Stranger Designs. I started it with a buddy named Brian. We started it back in, I believe it was 2014 or late 2014, I believe it was. And so yeah, we just actually sold the company recently to Tactical Minds. I'm trying to decide on what color I want to powder coat this. I'm gonna go with gray. So anyways, so I started Perfect Stranger Designs with Brian quite a few years ago. It is 2019, so almost 5 years ago, somewhere around 4 years ago. And just at the beginning of the year, we sold it to Tactical Minds. So they're a really good company. We worked with them for many years. They were best company for the job to take over PSD. I have some parts. I still rock all the PSD products. I believe in it heavily because, you know, I did, you know, a lot of the design work two-dimensionally anyways. And me and Brian bounced a lot of ideas back and forth. If it wasn't for us, this sub cage wouldn't have existed. This is something I had in my brain and I really wanted to make for a really long time. So I drew up about 10 different ideas for this and we sent it over to our CNC guy. He made it three-dimensional and we ended up with this design. He took my ideas, ran with it, and made it even better. And then we made a update to it to make it even stronger. And then we made one last update to make it longer. Now that Tactical Minds owns it, I don't think they've updated that, but they have updated the chain adjusters. So just so you know, people that have chain adjusters, they actually extended and made this bigger and put a tapped and threaded hole in the center here. There's reasons why me and Brian didn't want to do this. They've done it now, so none of you have to wait for the other companies that copied the design to do it. A little backstory on these. There was a company that made these originally, a similar design, and I contacted them multiple times trying to get a set. They wouldn't sell me a set because they didn't have any. So I asked them if there's anything we can do, if I could buy 100 sets of them or 100 of them. They said no quantity. I forget what exactly the words. Basically, they were like, it's not profitable for us. I wanted to do it as soon as possible. I instead gave the idea to a few other companies. They didn't want to do it, I guess, because 9 months had gone by since I had the conversation with some of these people. One of them was OTB, which after time, probably about 3 to 6 months after we released ours, they released theirs. So I think he was working on it. He just was a lot slower to the take on it. Mike's a really good guy. Shout out to OTB. So then in turn, a set of these other, I think their company was called KCP. Somebody had a set and they sold for double at least what the actual adjuster sold for initially. And I had to kind of go back and forth with Brian for many months, which is why it took 9 months before we started to design and make ours. But I said, I don't want to make them unless we can make them differently. And we made them considerably different. If you were to put them side by side, which I have access to a set, my buddy Adam has a set, and there's one key factor that they have that was cool, but to continue that cool factor wasn't really worth it. When you adjusted it, it clicked, but the clicking wasn't needed. We made these pockets so you could see the actual notches. They wouldn't get, chewed up over time. We had two iterations of this, and now there's the third, but we had two iterations of this, just with how this was in here. This wasn't actually in here initially. There was a nut on the back side, or on the front side here, and we eliminated that because there was a slight fail point with the clip. And there's still actually a couple people running that same set out there to this day. We actually went around and warrantied out all the ones we sold just so we didn't have any problems with them in the future. I literally have still to this day a box of those blocks that are 100% useless anymore. I was gonna just make like some keychains out of them and give them away. But I honestly don't know where the box is. Still is, it's somewhere in this mess of a garage. But yeah, we changed the whole exterior design, put our logo in it, made them less round, a lot more square to match our product, chamfered the edges, put the notch marks in so they were actually visible, and made the locking and adjusting feature a little bit better, with a little bit better bolts. The company that initially made them, looks like they made the bolts to use, so they made some things smaller, and they were really nice. They just did some things that weren't needed, so we took the design and made it better, and only because they chose to not want to make the product. So we did, and it was one of the best selling products that we made. Another product that I came up with that I had been talking with Brian about is the bar clamp. There's a lot of key features I wanted, so I drew up. Actually, this is the first part I ever 3D designed, was this product. It looked a lot different than this. Travis gave me a couple ideas and pretty much changed the design, and I like it. I like it a lot. There's a couple iterations prior to releasing this. This is what we came up with, and it took a while, but we made a couple height differences on these as well. They're also offset, so you can have them a little bit closer, a little bit farther away. It's all up to you on how the style that you want out of it. And it doesn't change where this is. So no matter how you do this, if you just look on the bottom, you can offset it towards you or away from you. It's all in personal preference. So if you're a shorter person, you can have it more close. If you're a taller person, you can have it farther away. It also changes how the bike turns and turns in and everything. So that's a cool thing. We wanted it to match the product. So there's a pocket with chamfered edges. There's a notch. Yeah, nobody made anything like this. This is a really solid bar clamp. You can run with bushings or without. There's a recessed area in there. It's a pretty awesome design. So fun fact, these are Kataco floating rotors that work with actual P32s and P34s. I have yet to test them personally, but Patrick Benson from Straight Up Pumps came across these, and he says, you know, he can spin his wheel, there's no issue. He sent me a couple videos and pictures. So I ended up ordering a set from Hard Racing. Shout out to Sean over at Hard Racing, aka Michael Stevenson. He got these to me. They came from Japan. They took a long time, but it had nothing to do with them. It came a little bit faster than he said they would. I think he told me like it was going to be 4 weeks, and they came in 2. So I mean, like 2 weeks is a while, but from Japan, not bad. So I got one for the front, one for the rear, both 220 millimeters, because I run a big rotor bracket in the rear. And since they're floating, it's going to help to not have a warp ever that's going to slow your speed down. I'll get into it more once we get it on the bike and everything. Gonna take stuff to powder coat in the morning tomorrow, I mean in the afternoon tomorrow. The place I'm going is 6651. They are really fast at powder coating stuff. I have personally not yet used them. I will let everybody know my thoughts on them once I get it done, but they did Sean's bike, all that monster green, aka shocker yellow. on his bike, and then they also did his brother's bike with this candy purple. So they did a really good job, and they did it really fast. The company I normally go to, Powder Coating Plus, they have been raising their prices and slacking and taking considerably too long. So instead of going back there, not from my own personal experience, they've always done pretty good by me, but a lot of people have said that they've dropped stuff off there and it's taken weeks upon weeks to get done. 6651, if they have to order the powder that I need, then it's going to take a little bit longer, but they're like a 3 to 5 day turnaround time for the most part when it comes to just a bunch of small miscellaneous parts. They're killers, so I'll leave their info in the description below. And other than that, I mean, the build's just starting. This is going to be Grom SF 3.0. It was going to be just like a 2.3 in a sense, or 2.4 or something, because this bike has stayed this color. I wrapped it this color I think it was technically last year, but it was for last season, and I like to change things up completely usually, but I was going to just leave this gray, and a lot of times I will stick with, you know, the same color for a couple years and then just change a few things. I, you know, literally today decided I was gonna change the whole color of the bike, so it's not gonna be a main color of gray anymore. What color is it gonna be? Oh man. You'll just have to wait. It's funny because you guys saw me put the 300 in this, and now I'm changing it completely with the 300 in it, doing some more fun stuff to the 300. Realistically, 300 just completely stock is really good. 300 with a set of cams, more than enough. Why am I doing this? I have a problem. I'm real excited, and we'll see where this goes. I don't know. But as for right now, I'm gonna go to sleep. I know, long episode, right? So I want to catch you up real quick. So if you'll notice, the audio on this is a lot nicer because I have a lavalier mic. Anytime you see me in this format, the audio will be a little bit better. I apologize for the audio across the board. I did not have this microphone at the time. So I don't want to keep you here very long, but I have noticed that over 80% of you guys aren't subscribed. So if you guys could do me a favor, if you hit that subscribe button, it helps us have the possibilities to doing these videos and doing these builds, getting you guys out the information. So on the next episode, I'm gonna show you how to tear apart your 250 or 300 motor so we can get it ready to do a big bore and to do a better head on it. But other than that, I'll see you on the next video. Peace. The stuff I'm gonna do is gonna give me a little bit more power. Who doesn't want more power? Should be interesting. See where all this goes. I have a headache from all the gas fumes, so I'm gonna take a break. Are you leaving it gray? What's going on? Today we're gonna tear the Grom apart. We're gonna pull the motor out, and I'm gonna show you how to tear it apart. And I'm gonna show you how to break it down so we can get inside of it. Before we get started, do me a favor really quick, hit the subscribe button. It doesn't cost you anything, it's free, it's very easy, and it's your best way to support this channel. I really love doing these videos. They're very fun, but we want to be able to start doing some giveaways, start doing a bunch of other things on a bunch of other builds, whether it's a scooter, a big bike, more Groms, so on. So hit the subscribe button, it definitely helps. Also, there's going to be a bunch of stuff that I'm mentioning in the videos over the next few videos. There are links to them down below. There are Amazon links more than likely, usually, and the Amazon links do help put an extra couple pennies in my pocket, but if you do click those, it does help the channel. So anyways, welcome back to MOTOVATION. What is going on, guys? So we got the motor sitting here. We're gonna take it apart. I loosened some things, that way I can get this apart somewhat quick. So let's get this thing pulled apart and oh, actually I don't need to take the starter off. Actually I do. Thing at top dead center. Some of you guys have never built a motor before, and that is perfectly fine. What we're gonna do is we're gonna turn this thing over one full revolution, and then we're gonna find top dead center. Hopefully. Depending on the compression stroke, if it wants to kick all the way around or not. Okay, so now we are at the T. Let's see if I can show you guys. And inside there, you see there is a T, and there is a little notch. T and the notch. That makes it top dead center. And we're turning that right there. And you're gonna look. You're gonna see intake, exhaust, right? So intake, exhaust, and you see that it has just a slight turn. It's not enough to be off a tooth, so it sits just in this little teetering window. So now that we're at top dead center, we're gonna take the cams out and go from there. So one thing you'll notice is this is just sitting in a milk crate. I didn't have time to build something out of wood to hold the motor in place. So this is just temporary and just something easy you can do. On the 250-300 or any vertical motor, you can just basically shove a piece of wood in here and put the motor in, and it's sturdy. It's also tilted this way so you can get access to the side of the motor to put it at top dead center. So what we're gonna do now is we're going to take this part. So the one thing you want to take notice to is all these bolts sit evenly across the board. So when you put the bolts back in, you don't have to worry about like, oh, which one goes where. When you're putting the bolts in, if this one goes here and this one goes here, you know that something's wrong. So you can just move it around, pop it there, you're good. Also, you'll notice this is the exhaust side. I already took the studs out. This is the intake side. So IN, EX. You're gonna look at these and these are gonna show. Also, these cam caps are made specifically for the head that they are on. You cannot use these cam caps on any other head. So for example, this head right here comes with another set of cam caps that are made for this motor. Once this is all done, they machine these through these holes all the way through, and then these match up so that way that they're perfect. So, but yeah, look at those. Ooh, so nice. And oh, wow. Now, pull all these out. I obviously have new ones, so I don't need rag or something. If I can find the opening, just give it a little pop. There and there, and she's off. And then we're gonna find a little spot on this one, which is on each end, like so. Give her a little pop here, and give her a little pop here. You just wanna make sure you don't gnar up your head. We need some zip ties. Why in the world would you need some zip ties? Well, if you drop your cam chain in your motor, you can get it out. So, these are marked on here. So this has an EX, this one has an IN, intake and exhaust, easy. I'm gonna pull the intake side first. The exhaust side. With that out of the way, we're gonna, for the time being, hook this so it's not in the way. And we need this. On the inside here there are 2 10s. And these are 14s. We got our handy dandy snap-on old school breaker bar slash torque wrench. Tony, man, old school snap-on stuff is awesome. Shout out to my dad. Try not to mess up your cam chain while you're doing this. And now that we got it out of the way, another thing to have is a magnet. So, I haven't dropped anything, but this is so we don't. So I just put the magnet on here. And then I can pull it out. Don't drop the washer. Because my hands are pretty big, so getting them in there is a little difficult. And these nuts aren't side specific or anything like that, but it is always nice to put things back exactly where they were. So I always lay them out on the bench in the spots that they should be, or that they came off of. We got the spark plug. I mean, it's pretty golden. I have a new one, so I'm just gonna put the new one in anyways, but that doesn't look too bad. It's a little on the rich side. Golden brown. Make sure we pull these out. And honestly, versus working on a Grom, this is honestly a little easier. Now, give her a little bumps. And out she comes. And of course, she's gonna leak a little bit of oil. That's what about 9,000 miles looks like. And man, oh man, that piston looks brand new. Look at the walls. I'm very impressed. Dang, look at that. No scoring, no problems. I wheelied the living crap out of this thing too. The guides look good. These are always something you want to check out if you ever pull your motor apart. You just want to make sure that they're all nice and clean, that they're not dragging on anything. And like I said, always clean stuff up whenever you can. So you'll see on here the APE titanium retainers versus the stock retainers. I'm gonna put the rocker arms and everything in this. We'll have to put it in the motor, set it all up, put the cams in, everything. run it around, make sure that the valves are within spec, and then from there, should be good. All right, guys, thanks for watching. On the next episode, we show you how to install the big bore and the new head. But that's it. We'll see you on the next video. Peace. All right, what is going on, guys? So we got motor sitting here. We're gonna take it apart. I loosened some things. That way I can get this apart somewhat quick. So let's get this thing pulled apart and what is going on? So on today's episode, we installed a new big bore kit and install the head. This is gonna be very detailed, so I would suggest watching this before tearing yours apart so you don't get halfway through and realize you may need a tool or you don't quite understand. So make sure you pay close attention, leave a comment below if you have any questions whatsoever. Let's get into the episode. Welcome back to Moto Vation. Right, so we're gonna pull the ring out of the piston. So getting these out is always a little bit of a pain if they're not an E style clip, if they're just a C clip. And that one just hit me in the neck. All right, so this is a C style clip. So this one is kind of good still. I always just hold on to them just in case something happens down the road. I'm just gonna push the wrist pin out. And there we go. And so this piston is like, has over 9,000 miles. So you can see there's a little bit of wear, nothing crazy. And you can see on the piston, there's no major wear. Oh, as I drop it almost. So, I mean, you can kind of see there's like a little bit of wear right here. You might be able to, but I mean, this has 9,000 miles. I mean, the top always is gonna look a little gunked. I'm 100% gonna hold on to this. Now we need to prep the piston. You're gonna look at this. You're gonna notice the intake valves, this intake side, the intake valves are larger and the exhaust valves are smaller. So this is the indication for the exhaust. So it's gonna end up going on like this. The rings need to be placed in the proper spots. Look at this size difference. That's crazy. 84 millimeters over stock, and this is stock. So this is a 286 piston, also the same as 249 piston. We got our new wrist pin, our new piston, and we got some assembly lube. This is not 100% synthetic, this is semi-synthetic. So this is good for assembling. So we're gonna take some and put it on here, and we're gonna lube it up, and it will slide all the way through. I did end up putting just a little bit in some spots. So before you put the piston in, you're gonna need to put a C-clip in. My fingers have a little bit of lube on, so I'm just gonna put that inside there. Going to take one of these, going to install it. All right, so these are a lot more difficult to get in than traditional like Honda Grom ones. So I'm not sure if you can see, but I'll point it out with this. So there is a notch right here. This is kind of, you're gonna kind of weasel it in and around. And then once this is in, you're gonna want to slide the gap to the opposite end of this. So that way it doesn't have a way to spin and move it or pop out. The little side, the arrow, is gonna point that way. So we're gonna put this on here. And now, I'm gonna put the other one in. This is gonna be fun. Make sure the wrist pin's all the way in. There comes the struggle train. So it's really hard to see, but it's not all the way in there. And I'm showing you this because I don't want you guys for it to be like that. So all you do is you just slowly pop it in and slide the ring around to the other side. All right, now we need to clock the rings. All right, one thing I want to make sure you guys all do is put paper towels or a rag or something inside here just in case you drop something, it won't go inside. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to lube the living crap out of this for the purpose of not having any issues. And then if you put a little much, in a sense, I try not to do crazy amount. I do enough that it keeps the rings in their place. And then you want to get it on the skirt. Going off of the specifications, I'll put that on the screen. You want to make sure that the rings are at 120 degrees like it says. And as it says apply engine oil to piston ring grooves and entire surface. Did that. Carefully install piston rings into the ring grooves with markings facing up. This was already assembled, so I checked the markings, everything's the way it's supposed to be. And then it says do not confuse the top ring and second ring. Like I said, don't need to do that. To install the oil ring, stagger the piston ring end gaps 120 degrees apart from each other. Stagger the side rail and gaps as shown. Apply engine oil to the piston hole, inner surface, and sliding surface. Try not to stick my head in the way. Spin this around at 120 degrees approximately. The upper needs to be 120. This one's a little bit more difficult because the oil rings, these lower ones, are a little bit more difficult to move. And so the three lower rings, the very bottom ones, they need to be within 0.8 of an inch, so a little bit more than 3/4 of an inch away from each other. So I hope you can see, but I will point this out for you. So there are a bunch of rings. There's technically 5 rings here. So there's an upper one, which this one needs to be straight forward. Then this one right underneath, move that over, you can kind of probably see it, goes right here. Then what you can't see is the very upper ring of the 3 goes here, and then the other one goes about here. Now that we got all of this in its spot, let's go ahead and take the rag out. Let's go ahead and take our base gasket. I've already cleaned all this. I'm gonna wipe it down here in just a second prior to putting this on. So this is your base gasket, and I'll try and find it on Amazon to link it, but tub of towels, highly suggest it. It's good for a lot of uses. This is not an ad, this is just awesome. I seen these online, and then my buddy Adam got them for me. Shout out to Adam. Granted, my hands aren't very dirty, they're just oily. So I'm just making sure that oil's off there. And then we're gonna go around and we're gonna wipe all this one final time. And if you look at this, you're gonna notice it only goes on one way. So, it goes face down like this. Flip our piston up so we can pass it over. And then we're going to pass our chain through. Try not to damage your base gasket doing this. All right. fumbling a little bit, but I got it. This only goes in one spot. And we're gonna pull these out. All right. So as you can see, this is still a good jug. We're gonna hold on to this. First thing first, can you tell me what time it is? Oh, it's big time. All right, so you wanna make sure you take your jug and put assembly lube. And make sure that the assembly lube gets on all spots. So go ahead and take your finger and get it messy. Make sure to finger it up really well. If you have to use 2 fingers, 3 fingers, you have to use your whole fist, whatever you want to do. However you like it. Make sure you get this nice and lubed. Get your mind out of the gutter. I can see you typing on that keyboard right now. Something perverted. And I want to show the difference. This almost fits inside, and that's the outside of this jug. So that is crazy. Look at that. Now it's time. There we go. Make sure that the guide doesn't get in your way. This is the fun part. And when you do this, be careful not to scratch anything. You gotta be careful that the ring doesn't pop out, because it will. These rings are a whole lot more temperamental than a Grom. There are tools for this, and I know I'm gonna get told about it. You never want to force this. Do not force this. All right. And like that, the piston is in. So tips on it, just take and have patience. Looks like it took about 3 minutes. Now, we're going to make sure the base gasket is clean and in its position. All right. And then we're going to make sure there's nothing underneath. Push that on. And take your little mallet, give her little taps. Our locator pin. We're going to wipe this excess bit of assembly lube off the top. We're going to take our Cometic head gasket. Go on here. Alright, so we have our new head that has titanium retainers, dual valve springs, heavy duty valve springs, stainless steel oversized +1mm valves, ported and polished. Pretty aggressive job at that, which I'm super stoked about. So we're going to loosen all these. Now we need to put the rocker arms in. I pulled the pins. I used a magnet. Make sure you use this magnet. You stick them inside here. They pull out after you have pulled these out. They're marked intake and exhaust. I pulled the shims, put them on for that head. Now that we got the shims in their place, these in their place, I'm going to make sure we put assembly lube. So this is the intake side. We're going to, well, first we're going to put some assembly lube on the side the pin goes in. I'll also put a little bit of assembly lube on the roller and the tips of these. Just get that slightly finger tight. This one, put some lube on her. Slide this partially in. Same with this. Put this plug in. Just make sure you use the actual copper gasket. Alright, so we're going to tighten these in an X fashion, and it's going to be to 12 foot-pounds first, but we're going to just snug them up. So first things first, get these tight by hand. Then we're going to go 12 foot-pounds as the first one. Okay, so that clicked. 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 Now we're going to go to 34 foot-pounds. Alright, that's 34. 34. And we'll just check, make sure this is right. Alright, 34 foot-pounds. Then we got these two. These are 9 foot-pounds piece. Oh, be very careful. This is very sharp. I just sliced the crap out of myself. No, it makes me bleed my own blood. Now we are ready for the cams. And like I said, they are marked. This one is intake. Same thing, we want lube. And this was the intake side. In the right spot. What? Same with the exhaust. Line those up. Now, we want to make sure that the motor is still at top dead center, which it is, or the crank is. That. Okay. And we're going to do that with this. Alright, so I didn't film putting it all together because I had a couple like issues getting it together, and I'm gonna have to take it apart anyways because I'm gonna have to reshim everything, I'm sure. I haven't checked that, but so the thing that you should know is the bolts inside the head here, the two little 10s. The two little 10s go to 9 foot-pounds. Each one of these black ones go to 9 foot-pounds. And the 4 initial head stud nuts go to 12 foot-pounds, then 34 foot-pounds. So you do the main ones in an X pattern, and then on these you go in a X pattern and you start from the middle. Here, 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 here. But it is late and I'm gonna put on the temp sensor and the tensioner later after I check the actual valve clearances. I'll do that tomorrow. Other than that, I am done for this evening. Wish I had a little bit more time to be working on stuff, but currently I do not. So check back later. First off, thanks for watching this far. I know that was a lot of information. Go ahead and click the link above so you can get caught up on the previous episode if you haven't already. So in the next video, we show you how to check clearances and set your valves. But other than that, drop your questions down below and we'll see you on the next video. Peace. First thing first, can you tell me what time it is? Oh, it's big time. All right, so you want to make sure you take your jug and put assembly lube and make sure that the assembly lube gets on all spots. So go ahead and take your finger and get it messy. Make sure to finger it up really well. If you have to use 2 fingers, 3 fingers, you have to use your whole fist, whatever you want to do. However you like it. Make sure you get this nice and lubed. Get your mind out of the gutter. I can see you typing on that keyboard right now. Something perverted. Welcome back, guys. So how you guys liking this season of Motivation? Good? Also, have you seen the other seasons of Motivation? There are 2 other seasons. Go ahead and click up here in the corner. You can check out that playlist and watch whenever you like. Today, we're gonna show you how to check your clearances on your valves and go ahead and set them to the proper specs. It is pretty detailed, so pay close attention. If you have any questions, let me know in the comments. But other than that, welcome back to Motivation. Clearance should be either 0.06 inches or 0.152 millimeters. And then on the exhaust side, 0.11 inches or 0.279 millimeters. 0.06 is 0.152 and in millimeters, 0.011 is 0.279. So we need to go a lot looser on this one, a little bit looser on this one. And these have shims. I've pulled the pins so you can actually see them better. So let me grab a pointer here. So these on top of the retainers, these little pieces right here, are the shims. So these are how small the shims are. I have a whole box here. So let's figure out which one we need. And so as you can see from my chicken scratch, I had to do this a couple times on the exhaust side to get it to where it needed to be. So how I do it is I put the separate for the millimeters and the inches, right? And then I circle what shim is in there. So these had 2.4s in it and this had a 2.5 and a 2.3. So then I changed these to get within this spectrum so it would be good. Pretty straightforward, takes a couple tries. Also, when you put the shims in, make sure that you rotate the motor 360 degrees. I always do it twice and then find the T mark. You see there is a T and there is a little notch. And you're gonna look and you're gonna see intake, exhaust. Right, so intake, exhaust, and check it. So that way it pushes them in and everything's set where it needs to be. So 0.006 goes on the intake side, slides. I already checked and made sure 7 doesn't fit. Now we'll go to the exhaust side. That one's a little tighter, but that's still how it should be. And then this one's just as tight, a little bit tight, but it's still within the spectrum. If this fits, no other size fits. That's how you set your shims to everything. This motor is set and ready to ride. All right, so I got a new cam chain tensioner and it comes with a little tool. You can use a flathead to do this, but this little tool is awesome. Compress it all the way in. Take your little tool, stick it in there. So then that holds it in place. Carefully make sure you put your gasket on. Now these should be at like about 9 foot-pounds, so I just get them snug, and then you can pull your little tool out. We have this. I'll show you why I'm replacing this. So there was no real tension on that. These threads kind of stripped at one point. So I put some Loctite in here and it held. It's pretty much held on by one thread. So you want to make sure when you put this in here that you do not, I repeat, do not tighten very hard. Just find its snugness and leave it. Not even an eighth a turn, nothing. Just snug. Once it's snug, let's go. Put this in. Always make sure that the O-ring gasket, this you can actually get tight. Put our wheel fitting on. Make sure your O-rings are in their place. You can get this one. Same thing, don't over tighten. I'm gonna take a peek. So there's a little bit of gunk on the thermostat, not a big deal. Just gonna look this over. And we will get this back on. You won't get this too tight because the bolt for the radiator bracket mounts to the upper bolt on this. All right. We are good to go. And that, my friends, is how you put a new jug and piston and new head with new cams in a 250/300. So when removing this, you want to go kind of counterclockwise or clockwise, so in a star pattern, to remove all these. And we got the SMR, Sex Machine Racing. Yes, that's the name of it, as you can see right there. 5 springs. There's anything, we got a sticker. And like I said, you need to put it on in a star formation. So these are 30% more firm than stock. I could say, yeah, that's about right. Now when we install these, get them in as far as you can by hand. Just trying to make sure that they all stay even. Make sure you get the gasket clean of all oil if you're going to reuse it, otherwise you should replace it. And you want to make sure that this right here is lined up with that, which is for the coolant. When we're putting all the screws back in, you just make sure that none of them protrude further than the rest. Also, there's a screen inside of there that needs to be cleaned. So while you're in there, you might as well clean it. This long one goes here. When putting all the screws on here, you want to make sure that you do it in a star pattern as well. I'm just going to get these on here with this. I'm not going to actually give it any ugga-duggas. Now, you can go around and tighten everything. Oh, and don't hit yourself in the junk. I got everything tight. And I'm going to put this back on one last time. Was all that helpful, or did you guys already know how to do all that? In the next episode, I reveal my new wheels and all the powder coated parts, and we can finally start assembling the entire bike. So I'll see you on the next episode. Peace. You see there is a T, and there is a little notch. And you're gonna look, and you're gonna see intake, exhaust, intake, exhaust, and check it. So that way it pushes them in and everything's set where it needs to be. So 0.006 goes on the intake side, slides, I already checked and made sure 7 doesn't fit. Now we'll go to the exhaust side. That one's a little tighter, but that's still how it should be. And this one's just as tight. Welcome back. All right, today I show you all the stuff I got powder coated. I reveal my brand new Composimo wheels to you guys in the new color. Sean stops by to see the progress of the bike, and I have a major mishap towards the end of the video. Welcome back to MOTOVATION. These wheels are really great, but there's a couple scuffs in them, a couple scratches. So I did some repairs and now I'm just buffing them out. My buddy that I got these from, he said to use this white diamond. He said to do it by hand, but by hand takes a long time. So I'm improvising, and it's working very well. So I'm using this little 3M buffer. I forget where I got this, but so I still need to. Looks like I went a little deep on a couple. Search your back. Go to our final buff. Well, looks like I'm gonna have to take a little bit more time on some of these scratches. It's almost like it's got a chrome coating on it. And it's exactly what it looks like. So it kind of looks like these were chromed, at least just this portion of the lip. So I'm gonna do a little bit more cleanup on these and then buff them back out just on these little spots. And we'll see what we come up with. So this is before. This is the rear wheel. And then this is after. You can see it's definitely got a lot more shine. I was worried that I wouldn't get much, but you can definitely see it's got a lot more shine. And bam, like that, she's good. Shut the hell up.
Dude, you know the craziest thing? I was sitting at the Shell gas station on the corner of like Bermuda and Seven Hills or something. And this fucking guy walks past me, stops. He got a nice watch on and this little like side satchel, and he stops. He's like, "Hey, is that 250?" And I was like, "It's 300." He's like, "Oh, nice, man." Just kept walking. I was like, "How the fuck?"
How did you know?
Yeah, like that bike does not look like a 250. That's even too small. You know what you need in this garage? Don't have chairs.
You're probably sitting on one.
It doesn't have a back support.
There's a wall. There's a chair right here. All right, so we got the headlight off, got the wiring put back. I'm gonna clean this up just a little bit more. I'm not 100% with it, but it looks 100 times better here. The new bigger tank. It could have gone even bigger, but you know, he just did what he could. I really wish that this would have went to here, but you know, we can get a version 2 tank down the road. This will see how much fuel is in there. When I fuel it up, I'm gonna go fill it up tomorrow or the next day. Then we have the swing arm bushings in from Man in the Box. Those are pretty easy. I would say if you get the tool, cool. If you don't have the tool, I would say the easiest way to get them out would be to press them out in a press. And then to put these in, all you have to do is the stainless steel part, put them in the freezer and freeze them. And then have somebody hold the swing arm, and I just pounded them in with a dead blow, and they were in there. We got this fancy thing. So we got Composimo rear wheel on. It's a 5-inch, a 13 by 5. And over here, we have Katako rotor, brand new titanium gray PSD bracket, P34 calipers with my Hell brake lines. Then we come on down, we got the A-Racer. It's the A-Racer 10 ignition timing stage, blue version. So we got that connected and put on. Then this is, the breather's still on here. We're gonna probably just keep it on here. So far I haven't had any need for a catch can, so that's awesome. Then up front, we have no caliper, no new rotor. The wheel is just not installed yet. Motor we have over here. So I'm gonna put the motor in and get this all back together. We have our kickstand. It's fully adjustable. And why is it on the right side now? Well, if it wasn't, this would be all you see, and I have these super fancy wheels. What's the point in that if you can't see them? So, go over here. Obviously the sprocket and chain aren't on here yet, but when it's this way, you'll be able to see it. So I'm at the gas station with a new gas tank. Show you really quick. So it's expanded here and on the other side as well. Got this fancy driven cap. Put this over here. I want to see how much gas this thing takes. So, it's completely dry. I'm guessing 1.8.
Here's your on-the-go forecast.
Come on, baby, keep going. Oh, it was close. 1.79. And it's leaking like a sieve. That's cool. Well, that's a whole lot of wasted fuel. Let's try this again. So it was 1.8 basically, and then it started spilling out. So I'm hoping I went back and the seal was rolled over. Wow, I lost almost a gallon of gas. Yeah, I lost 0.058 or 1.58. I would say officially, unofficially, yeah, I would say I'm about 1.8. That was the messiest gas fill up ever. All right, so 1.9 gallons. I'm just gonna call it 1.9. It's probably a 2-gallon tank, but it's like right on that cusp where it's like too much fuel to where it'll go out the drain hose, so not bad at all. I gained what, it's 1.2 or 1.3 stock, so I gained about 3/4 of a gallon, somewhere in that range. So that's perfect. So I'm hoping I can get about 80 miles to a tank, and I'll be super stoked on that. So now go home and finish putting everything together, fire her up, get her some heat cycles, and get her running. All right, here we go. Yeah, so 2 gallons of gas spilled everywhere. That was fun. So what'd you guys think of the wheels? I thought they came out really great. On the next episode, I'll show you a few tips and tricks on how to wrap your Grom, and I revealed the color of the bike finally. Go ahead and leave a guess below, let me know what you think it's gonna be. I'm sure a bunch of you already know the color. Other than that, I'll see you guys on the next episode. Peace. So this is before. This is the rear wheel. And then this is after. You can see it's definitely got a lot more shine. I was worried that I wouldn't get much. You can definitely see it's got a lot more shine. And bam. Like that. She's good. What's going down? Today is wrap day. I give you details on how to wrap your bike, whether it's a Grom or not. These tips and details will help you along the way of wrapping pretty much anything. And I reveal the color of the bike. These tips and tricks are for all you guys that have never wrapped and for you guys that have wrapped some stuff before. I get questions a bunch on how do I wrap, how should I get into wrapping, just a bunch of like different things on how easy, how hard it is. It's more of a monotonous thing than anything, but I figured I'd finally include some wrapping in a video so I could help you guys out and to refer people back to this video. So if that's one of you, thanks for watching. Other than that, welcome back to MOTOVATION. So all the plastics get really dirty, and the easiest way to just clean them. So a little bit of soap and water, sometimes a little bit of alcohol. Hopefully it's, yep, they got it on there, huh? Making sure all the sticky mess is off of this. All the vinyl is off. And no, I'm not leaving it like this. Plastics are getting rewrapped. We're gonna do a new color. So a little tip when you're when you're wrapping, it's all about the prep work. So one thing you really want to do is degrease. After you degrease, then you want to use soap and water, which is what this is. This doesn't have really much of any grease on it at all, but I am prepared for some of the soiled pieces that we have. Then once you have everything nice and clean, you wipe everything with alcohol, isopropyl, how do you say it? I'm not sure. But as you can see, the design is still underneath a couple of the fairings, and that's awesome. You can actually leave it. It's really funny because a lot of people will actually talk trash and say you can wrap really good and your bike looks like trash. Look at all those bubbles, because they see a picture from a distance. And then when they get close to it, or you see a close picture of it, they're like, oh, my bad, never mind. And then the people that do see it are like, wow, that's crazy, that looks really cool. That is the prep work I do. And then also on plastics or paint or whatever, you may want to clay bar the products, just because they can get contaminated on it and you don't want like the bumps or anything like that. Stuff that you're wrapping. This stuff's always been wrapped. Never gonna really run into that issue. It's better off to have a clean bike than a dirty bike, in my opinion. There's some people out there that won't agree. They think that the bike should actually be dirty. And that's fine. I strongly disagree. I think you take pride in what you're gonna build, and you should keep it clean. Sure, it's gonna get dirty, it's gonna get beat up, that's fine. But after you're done beating it up, after it gets dirty, clean it up. The other reason you want to clean the back is obviously the vinyl does go over to the backside, but you're gonna be grabbing this stuff. So if this is dirty and then I grab vinyl, my hands are getting on that nice clean vinyl or on the nice clean plastic. I would say this is probably the first time I can't fully envision a wrap. Makes me not necessarily nervous because I don't really care. If I get this all done and it looks like butt, then I'll just rewrap it later. It's not that big a deal to me. The stuff needed to come off anyways, most of it, because a lot of it was scratched. Because I beat my bike up. I have a stunt bike. Sure, it is a pretty stunt bike, and it has a lot of nice and expensive parts on it, but that doesn't mean much of anything. I would say out of all the pieces to wrap, this is probably one of the hardest things to wrap, is this. Just because of this piece right here. This is also another piece that's kind of a pain to wrap, just because this textured plastic, this textured ABS, nothing wants to stick to it. So it's that one thing that tends to lift after a while. But I'm gonna get to wrapping this stuff tomorrow. It is midnight, but I want to get everything cleaned. So quick story on why I use bandana print. Sorry about the snorting noise making. Mr. Alfle's right next to me, and that's what he does. So quick little thing about this is the bandana print initially started with, I used to hang a bandana out in my back pocket for a buddy that passed away because he used to always rock them. His name was Leo Brodsky. He passed away many years ago. So he always rocked a bandana, and on my first stunt bike, I did a wrap. I just took like a bandana print and made it motorcycle related and had it printed and put it on the R6. Then over time, I modified it more and more and more. It wasn't this exact print, but I modified it more and more until this was the final product. And I always did it subtly. I did it underneath the plastics, underneath the vinyl. On the R6, when I wrapped it again, I put it on top. I wrapped the Grom white initially, the first Grom, my 1415. When I redid it in teal, I did this underneath the plastics. And it was for myself and a little reminder that Leo's just always there, like while I'm riding. I don't think anybody knows that. That's just something that is for me. I just, I miss the guy. He was like one of my best friends, and we used to ride together. I thought it was gonna have to go this time around because my plotter's down and I'm not sure if I could get it back up, and I don't know where this file is. I'm sure I could find it, but that is why this is on the bike and why it's subtle, because it's not really necessarily for other people. It's mostly for me. And it's a really cool design, in my opinion. So, just a bandana print that has chains and sprockets. It's motorcycle related. That's the story. What is going on? So we have some parts that we're gonna wrap. I already got a bunch of stuff done. I've just been really focused on getting that stuff done so I could record, you know, miscellaneous stuff later. Couple tips, tricks, so on and so forth. First thing you wanna focus on when you're wrapping stuff is you wanna make sure the stuff is prepped properly. It has to be cleaned very well. First thing you want to do is you want to have some soap and water mix. You want to have degreaser, and you want to have some alcohol. So first thing you always want to do is you want to take degreaser like Simple Green, Purple Power, something of the sort that's not super rough on the surface that you're going to be working on, that it's not going to take any paint off or anything like that, but it's going to take all the grease off. Then once you do that, you move on to the next step, which would be a spray bottle with 1 drop, maybe 2 of Dawn or some sort of detergent. I just use Dawn. It works the best. They use it to clean seals and seagulls and stuff like that, so it's really good degreaser, and 1 drop goes a long way. So I have a bottle like this. I also have a pump style bottle. It just depends on the situation. I've already cleaned and degreased everything, so I don't need to use this. But we'll move on to the step that I'm at, which is alcohol. So everything you should have a separate color of towel for everything that you're gonna use, so you never mix them up. So this is only for alcohol. It's nothing else. So isopropyl alcohol, either, what is it, like 80%, 70%, all the way up to pretty much 100%. What I do is, depending on the part I'm working on. So on this is one way, is just, you know, get a towel damp and wipe it down. Also make sure your hands are clean. Make sure this area you're working at is clean. It is, obviously. Make sure your rag is decently clean. There's some stuff on here, like there's this, but it's stuck to it. But you want to make sure this is wiped down very well with rubbing alcohol. You want to make sure that every part that you touch, every part, inside, outside, is clean. So in situations like this, since you can't get this in here very easily, I just take and spray it down, and then I just rub it wherever it can be. And anywhere that you don't, you know, wipe or whatever, it's still a little shiny, it will dry. It's alcohol and dries out really easily. I've already wrapped a few of these. I don't know how many exactly. I know that there's some trouble areas that are prone to have vinyl not stick very well, just either with stretching or certain circumstances. So we'll take this towel that I've been using for what I'm about to show you, and there's a lot of different adhesion promoters. I use Pro Bond. It seems to work the best in my opinion. It dries really fast. It also smells really bad. So I put a little bit on here. Actually, I put quite a bit on. And then in areas like here, corners of all this, I get this on because these are areas that it doesn't like to stick very well. Sometimes I get a little overboard, but for the most part, that's where I use it on the front. Then along the edge, along the top, in this crack here, this crevice, and it's already starting to dry. It dries in about 30 seconds. Then on the back side here, on this area, trying not to put my fingerprints on everything. Then along the corners and back side of where the light is, I put some. I don't get too in depth on it just because it's not crazy important. On this area though. So this piece is super intricate. I don't actually wrap this whole piece. I wrap the front area here all the way down and along this. I just go around this, basically, this main surface area. Then on here, I go around, same type of thing, and then I go up and over on all this area here. The reason why is because the only area you really see is about here, across this, and here. You don't really see the sides of this. When this is on here, this covers pretty much everything. So you don't see any of that stuff. So I prefer not to do it. There's no real reason. This gray is a good contrasting color to pretty much anything. And then I don't wrap the bottom because you don't ever see it as well. This I'm doing this is a titanium brushed aluminum. This is just brushed aluminum. So we're gonna wrap this on this, even the piece that I'm gonna use. And you also wanna make sure your whole area is clean, not too much dust, so you're not kicking up dust. And then we'll take and remember where this all is gonna go. And I just lay it on there. And I pull up the sides a little bit here and there. Flip her over and get started. But another thing that I use, a wrap glove. This is literally made by the company Wrap Glove. Also, you need a halfway decent heat gun. I got this one with a fancy digital display. You don't need that. I used a different style for many, many years. Cool thing about this stuff is that it's actual vinyl, it's not actual metal. So some of the chromes and brushed aluminums and whatnot are actual foil. This is not. This piece is actually a huge pain in the ass to wrap. Alright, so I'm gonna get back to this. Yeah. Hope you learned a couple things. I'll show you how I trim all this up. Alright, so I'm just working on trimming up everything. As you can see, the color difference isn't really a whole lot. I mean, you can at certain angles, but from a distance, you don't even see it. So, get my handy dandy glove back on. Just going to wrap all this stuff around the edge. And then what I do is in corners, I split the vinyl so that way I can bring it around here all the way. And get it to tuck back in. Alright, and that is the outside. I'm going to go around and trim up all the excess stuff on the backside. I'm going to put some edge sealer on this. I don't do that on every part I wrap, but I do it on stuff like this because all these little areas tend to start lifting up. So I'm going to trim it all out, put a little edge sealer on everything, and it should stay. So that is a little wrapping 101 for you guys. Alright, so I hope those tips really helped. Well, it's been a long journey to get to right here, but the next episode is the money shot. I show you a breakdown of everything that I've done to the bike. You get to see every little bit and piece of it. We start it up, we take it for a ride, and you don't want to miss this episode. Other than that, I'll see you guys on the next episode. Peace. This is literally made by the company Wrap Glove. Also, you need a halfway decent heat gun. I got this one with a fancy digital display. You don't need that. I used a different style for many, many years. Cool thing about this stuff is that it's actual vinyl. It's not actual metal. So some of the chromes and brushed aluminums and whatnot are actual foil. This is not. Oh man, I am excited for this one. I show you everything that we did to the bike, details, everything. You get to see all little, I show you all the good, a couple of the bad. There's not much, if at all, if you want to call it bad. But Paulo and Sean swing by to see the bike start up, to hear it. It sounds gnarly. It sounds way different than it did as a 300. Other than that, I want to welcome you back to MOTOVATION. All right. So we got our rear wheel here. And it is 17.4 pounds. That's with a rotor, but no hub. So as you see, no hub, has the rotor. Now we have our front wheel, 15.6. This one, Cosmo wheel, 13. 19.2. And rear wheel, is 20 pounds exactly. All right. Dang, those look good. Look at all that. Whew. The noise you're hearing is this. Man, there's no air in this right now, so it looks a little flatter than it normally would be. Yeah. So, I'm a little disappointed. I paid for these for my 250 or for my 300 to go. They're like little side pieces to go on here. But the problem is it gets in the way of all of this. So, unfortunately, I cannot run those. As you can see, I only have a few more things on here, nothing that crazy. Just a few more things to do to button up. Gotta put this stuff on right here. And that. Still gotta put this on. Just gonna make a little pile here. I gotta get the seat done hopefully this week. I put on the new eraser. Speaking of which, I need to tighten this bolt. And I obviously got the screen on here now, which is great. Still need to hook the fuel line up. Need to obviously clean everything, it's all a little dirty. And then I have this Moto Gadget M-Lock, which will go on the bike somewhere, I don't know exactly where yet. And what it is a key fob. And so all I'll do, let's just say this is the thing, and then I'll just go up to it and it'll turn the bike on. So, gotta wire that in tomorrow. I just need to get a couple connectors. Yeah, chains adjusted, all this stuff is tight. Got some new driven lightweight nuts, even though the wheels are actually pretty heavy in comparison. Yeah, this is gonna look really cool. And I can't wait to show you guys. I also, since this has to come down anyways, got the driven gas cap. Woo! Got the expanded tank, so it's actually bigger. I got a steering damper coming. Need to get a piece of glass for this. And other than that, I mean, just a few things to button up realistically. Pretty much just a couple more things. I'm gonna have the exhaust hopefully fixed on Tuesday. My buddy Dylan's gonna get that new bend in there. weld it all up for me because I don't TIG weld. Tomorrow I'm gonna bleed the brakes. I'm gonna wire up my headlight kill switch. Just gotta do some wire testing, so I'm gonna deal with all that stuff tomorrow. Got the new steering damper on. So this is an Olin's damper. It was actually polished, and this was beat up. The whole thing was a little beat up, a little bit more than I anticipated. So I went ahead and refurbished it for the most part, and it ain't the best work I've done, but it ain't the worst. Put the new PSD titanium colored bar clamp on, then the steering damper, and relocated the rock form mount. Other than that, got the brakes all bled. Feel pretty good. Alright, so I'm gonna attempt to do something that's probably extremely stupid, which is I'm going to try and polish this header. I am extremely not happy with it. I told the person that made the header initially to do it a certain way. It wasn't done a certain way. Went back to get it fixed to do it a certain way. Was still not done the way I wanted. As you can see, there's this right here that's, yeah. So, not happy with it, so I'm like, well, I'll just polish it and maybe it won't look as bad. I mean, yeah. So, I'm not gonna talk trash or anything like that. I just am gonna try and make this better. So, let's make it better. Alright, so it's not perfect, and this is just the back side, so I didn't really care to get the backside to mirror finish because you literally rest up against the motor. So I just wanted to see how it goes on the backside and then see where I need to modify and make better. So this took me maybe 20 minutes, 30 max. So now let's see how the front goes. So as you can see, it's super dull. Definitely not shiny. But you can see why I decided I was going to try and polish it to make it look a little bit better. Alright. If it wants to focus, there we go. So it came out alright. Not like perfect polish, obviously, but it came out okay. Looks better than it did. Now I've got to put the belly paint on. You don't really see up there, so I wasn't too worried about it, and it's just gonna get crazy discolored really fast anyways up there. So here we go.
What's up, Dave? Pat, you didn't charge your battery. Your key is too far away now.
I think my battery's like low. Where did I put my key?
Man, you can't start a high compression motor on a low battery.
so we have a problem. I got the bike all together and the tank's leaking. So the bike is literally, I would say like 98% together. I was actually just gonna clean the garage up and kind of do a walk around, some video of it, but I can't. So I'm going to tear the bike apart, pull the gas tank, run and go get a fuel can, and put all the fuel in the fuel can. So yeah, I'm gonna see how fast I can pull this thing apart without damaging anything. Then I gotta drive 40 minutes northwest to get the tank fixed. I'm praying that it's something on my end that it has nothing to do with the welding, but I looked up through the fairings and the bottom of the gas tank's wet, and it's not near where there's a hole, like as in it's not near where the fuel pump is. So super disappointed, but I'll be fine. Get this done. It's just like it's a whole day delay, and it looks pretty cool. It looks crazy. Yeah, I just yeah, I'm stoked to show you guys. So I'll check back with you in a minute. So you can see that that's wet there, and that there's a drip about to come off. But you can see that there's not a lot of fluid coming off, and this is dry since 11 o'clock last night. I haven't touched this. I would say after 2 days there was about maybe half the size of the lens cap. But you can see inside here it's wet, and if I could show you up in there, but it's leaking onto here. Alright, so I didn't show me assembling much of anything. Reason why is because I ended up having a gas tank leak problem. So that was cool. Got it all buttoned up, got it all fixed. It's not leaking anymore. So let me show you some of the things I did. I went ahead and polished the header. Came out alright. Got the exhaust all mounted. Went with the P34 calipers. Got the HT Moto seat all done. I had to actually install the seat cover. Got the screen on here. Got the steering damper on. Olin's, I rewrapped it, put a new sticker on it, painted this, and as you can see, I'm starting with 3,143 miles. Also got the M-lock on. Got the titanium gray PSD subcage with the titanium gray PSD dual Brembo caliper bracket, the PSD titanium colored chain adjusters, KevTech axle sliders, Composimo rear sets, KevTech rear set pegs, foot pegs. We got the piece from Go Grom that I've had for many years that I made work on this. We went titanium gray on this piece, and the front headlight. Got a new fender because the last one broke. We got the fancy Composimo wheels, 13x4 in the front, 13x5 in the rear. Went P34 in the front. Also went with the floating rotors from Katako that I got from Hard Racing. Held brake lines as I've ran so far for a while. The PSD clamp I changed out to be titanium. We also got Racing Bros front suspension, we still have the Racing Bros rear bazooka air shock. And then we still have my 1 PSD license plate. We have the MSR shifter with the little fancy dress-up pieces from GoGrum on the motor. We powder coated the valve cover. Got the man in the box pivot arm bushings. G-Craft kickstand that was welded on the swing arm. The PSR oil cap. We got the driven Halo gas cap. We still have our fancy underlayer wrap on there and on this whole side piece. We got the 27 tooth rear sprocket with driven nuts, the aluminum. The wheels have full ceramic bearings, front and back. We got the head installed, the big bore installed. I believe these little caps are made by Man in the Box. These LEDs are just something from eBay, I believe it was. And then we put a stripe because of that. I put a stripe because there's actually 2 pieces here. This I wasn't able to get in one piece. But I think it's a cool little accent. there's a few things that I wanted to explain. So the reason why you don't see an ending to this the way you would normally at the end, a bunch of riding and some cool B-roll that's not in the garage, is because all of my gear got stolen. So my cameras, my hard drives that had all the footage from that got stolen. Very frustrating, $15,000 of stuff gone. Insurance took care of most of it, not all of it, but I was able to get together a bunch of miscellaneous stuff for the end of that. So let's talk about the bike itself. It ran with me. At the time, I was 250 pounds plus gear. I ran a 9/1/8 mile. Now that's not crazy fast or anything, but the bike weighs 280. And that's kind of a guesstimation. If you look at the first season, you'll see that it weighed in the 270 range. I'd have to double check the numbers. But remember, K-tuned it on the dyno, on auto tune, on a stock injector that was maxing out on the dyno, and it needed more fuel. So it was not tuned 100% to where it could be. There was no custom tune and there was no timing taken out. Now, that is a lot of weight. Understand I have 13-inch wheels. I also have stunt parts. There's a good 20 plus pounds that could be shed in weight off of that bike by just changing a few different things. It's September of 2020. We all know how 2020 has been going. All of this was filmed in 2019. There's been a lot of things that have changed in between now and then, so it just took some time to get to this footage, to get it out. It wasn't top priority, but I wanted to get it out so I could help you guys out with builds similar to this. Because I know there's a lot of people with 250s and 300s that are now at the point where like, oh, I just want a little bit more power. Or some of you want a lot more power. Well, this is a good option for you. Good news is the whole next season, season 4, is filmed. It's not my bike. It's not the bike that I built on season 2. It's a completely different bike. So that'll be fun. This season isn't over. There's still 1 to up to 3 more episodes after this. I haven't edited any of those yet, but I've edited all 7 of these. And so by the time you're seeing this, the other ones should be edited and could be up, but there could be a week or 2 delay. So if you could be patient on the last couple episodes. I just wanted to give you guys some updates. I'm not gonna give you any spoilers, but I appreciate you guys hanging in with me through all these changes and all these episodes. I appreciate you guys. Other than that, I'll see you guys on the next episode. Peace.